reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapons with Doghouse Systems. Audible, find your next great read at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and by GoDaddy. Put your website to work while you play.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 203. I'm Chris, and of course, I'm joined by the man with the fanciest pants, winningest fanciest pants contest experience ever, Mr. Layanor himself. Hello, Layanor.
You're not going to let that die. You're not going to let that damn song die.
You are. I'm sorry. I understand your backstory now. It makes so much sense. I understand. I understand. And of course, the mastermind behind this excellent reporting to find out Layanor's backstory. Hello, Bill.
You know, it's very satisfying to be able to dig up something like that, especially since Layanor's really been trying to keep it on the down low. I've got a little bit of pride for being able to bring light to it all.
Yeah.
But really, don't fight it, Layanor. The song is bigger than all of us. So
Screw you guys. I'm going on strike.
How would we notice?
Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait, did I hear something? I thought there was some vocal rest that was happening this week as well.
It's liberating to finally be able to interrupt you guys again, because just listening there and not talking was hell. But I'm here. I'll save everything.
You're welcome to speak this week, Harry. I know it was tough last week, but I appreciate you being back.
I actually did have to rest my voice.
I know, but it was a really good bit.
It was.
You're supposed to agree, damn it, quicker. Not the pity agreement that comes after a few seconds of, oh, here we go again. Yes, Chris, you're really funny. We all like you.
I'm blaming lag. That's my defense, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, fine. You blame lag all you want. But you know what? I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me.
That's a really old reference.
I didn't even get the reference, and I'm older than Layanor.
That's a Saturday Night Live reference from back in the 90s, in the early 90s. So,
we never got Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's too bad.
Stuart Smalley.
Yep. All right, let's get into things.
Who just happens to be an actual sitting senator in the United States Senate these days.
Does. Yes,
just
he
saying.
Is. All right, let's get into things here, because we've got some news. We've got some stuff to talk about. Layanor, why don't you let us know what you've been playing in-game?
Well, I did not play Hello Kitty Online this week. That's for damn sure.
Okay, you're done. Next.
But you did play it.
Which Harry showed up to be the first guy in the live stream and said hi. I just flicked it on, and he was there instantly.
He's got an alert. It sets to his cell phone. As soon as anyone streams Hello Kitty Online, boom.
Well, he dropped everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you spend an hour in character creation. You're playing Hello Kitty Online. And you're actually doing, no, I don't like this set of eyes. I think the hair should be slightly more pink. It's really weird. Why didn't you just do the damn game?
Because I got curious. Anyway, moving on.
Please.
I jumped into Hearthstone for a little bit because it's a new season, so I had to get back in there to build up my rank to get the new card backing for this month. What else did I do? I jumped into Star Wars: The Old Republic, hoping to start new episodes of Plus One Keyboard, but unfortunately, my partner's subscription ran out.
I thought you didn't need a subscription.
You don't need a subscription, but if you don't have if your subscription runs out, it's just like LOTRO, where all your characters get locked out.
Ooh.
So his low-level characters were all locked out.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we got to work on that.
Ooh.
I jumped into LOTRO. I didn't do any PvP, but I did get into a lot of the epic battles again because I'm working on some of the gold tier jewelry to get my character better. And I absolutely flipped out over the weekend because the Firefly Online bonus game thing came out where you can go into it, you can look at the entire map of the whole universe, look at all the planets and stuff where, you know, the ship showed up, travel to go do jobs and stuff like that. They have a whole listing of the history. You can collect cards from the show in there, and there's a couple of like little small bonus mini games, but the whole point of it is as you're doing all this stuff, you gain points that will all turn into money when the game starts up.
Oh, well then.
So it's really cool. I jumped back into Tiny Death Star because I never really got to play it that much because my older Android device screwed it up really bad. It set a lot of the levels to 9999999 time for my stock to come up.
Oh.
So since I got a new Android, I wanted to play it again, and I couldn't find it. I could not find it on Google Play. So I wonder if they've taken that down.
Yeah, they did. I remember that. I don't remember why.
We talked about it in the show, and that was because since Disney took over the entire portfolio and they made a clean sweep of all the franchisers and all the licenses, and Tiny Death Star was one of the things that got blown up in the whole thing.
Well, I was lucky enough to actually
for that
go
small thermal exhaust port.
I was lucky enough to go through my history because it was still there, and it was listed as Disney.
Well, yeah, but they cleaned up, just like they went through the entire extended universe. They went through all the games that were Star Wars related and axed a lot of them.
Still mad at them about the extended universe, by the way.
I'm getting more and more angry the more I think about it. At first, I thought, like, I don't care. But it's kind of a stupid dick move. They didn't have that. There was no reason for them to do this.
Exactly. Other than if they count it as canon, then they're limiting themselves in what they can do with the movies, and they're limiting their creative scope.
There are ways around that.
I know. My favorite story is with Luke and Han and Leia's kids fighting the people from outside the galaxy.
I like Shadows of the Empire, which was in between Star Wars and Empire. Or no, it was Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It was in between those.
Anyways, I hate to derail, but let's underail by going back on track, shall we? We got lots of news.
All right, we're going to talk about this other game that I played called Toilet Time.
Why did you bring him back on track to talk about this?
We could have been talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. Given the option.
Okay, so this game, if you guys ever seen the game called WarioWare for Nintendo Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, I can't remember what it was. Basically, it's a bunch of mini games where you shake the controller or something like that, and they go really fast. It's like it only takes like 3 or 4 seconds to do these mini games, and you just shotgun them out. This is the same thing, except it's got a toilet theme. And it's for your Android. And I found this one because it just seemed a little bit more funnier than the Many Ways to Die game that is also in the same style, but of Many Ways to Die theme with those little cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm. Dumb Ways to Die, you mean?
Dumb Ways to Die. Thank you.
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Love that song.
Yep. And there was one more thing I wanted to mention. It's not a game, but it was just something that came up. You usually watch this show called Game Grumps, and they did an experiment, and I wanted to talk to you guys just real quick about it. What one of the guys did was World of Warcraft, the expansion came out, and one of the main things about the expansion was as soon as you got the expansion, one of your characters would turn level 90 or all of them? One?
Yeah.
One. So what he did was he bought the rest of the guys, which was I think 5 or 6 people, World of Warcraft accounts, and got them all the expansions, so they all had a level 90, and none of them have ever played an MMO before, and made a series of it. He said it was the biggest nightmare he ever created. What if any of you guys would have done the same thing with like maybe family members or friends like that? What do you think would happen?
Been there, done that with one family member at least.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what it would be like with 9.
Yeah, it was frustrating enough with one.
I can only imagine. Like
Bill was right there with me, so
yeah, that's just the questions about why am I running into the wall? Which is my attack button?
Well, you got to remember too that this is level 90, so this is almost raid level as well.
Well, they still had to get through 10 levels and then gear and.
I'm actually imagining a whole bunch of chickens running around with their heads out, and then trying to get them to understand how to play WoW.
See, I'd want to take them into Battlegrounds and see what would happen there. That would be glorious.
That would be, in all sorts of ways, glorious. Wow.
But not to participate, just to sit back and watch.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to lead. You don't want to lead those into battle.
Yeah.
I don't know when that series is coming up, but I'm so looking forward to it.
Awesome. That's cool. All right, Harry, you're up. What have you been playing?
Well, not as much as I'd like, actually. I got back into Diablo, and I killed Diablo, expecting the thing to be over. But then there is an Act 5. Mm-hmm. Go figure. Well, I have the PlayStation 4 version, which is apparently the entire expanded edition with the expansion pack included. I must say, I'm playing Diablo on normal difficulty, and I have not felt a sense of danger for even a second. And it's just I'm playing a mage, so I'm supposed to be squishy. I can stand in the middle of a field full of all kind of hellspawn demons, and I just press X and everything dies eventually. And I don't even take damage because somehow I've amassed some gear that will give me health per second.
Yep.
So I'm pumping health back into my character without doing anything. I have a stack of potions I don't need to use. I'm basically invincible and all powerful.
Yep.
And I get enough of that in real life. So it's
to be fair, normal difficulty is basically the tutorial for Diablo. Like the game is balanced to run in nightmare and hell difficulty and everything like that. That's where you actually get your gear and your accomplishments and everything like that. Unless you're playing for the story.
Yeah, that epic Shakespearean, psychologically deep, completely unforeshadowed.
Stop. I liked the story. It was not deep and awesome, but it was like a good Michael Bay movie. Shut up and enjoy the explosions.
Hang on. Did you say good Michael Bay movie?
Have you seen Bad Boys? Have you seen Bad Boys?
Oh, I'd like to bring this discussion back to a level of quality. I played Pokemon Mysterious Dungeon, and I must say I'm actually surprised by this this roguelike dungeon crawler with Pokemon, and I like it. Damn it!
Okay, so Diablo right beside Pokemon Mysterious Dungeon.
I must say, if I have
Parallels?
to choose, well, they are both roguelikes and they are both randomly generated. And one of them is cute and the other one is Pokemon. And I actually enjoyed Pokemon Mysterious Dungeon more than I expected because it is truly like those. I used to play those PC games with ASCII graphics, where you when you move, then the other characters, literally characters like letters, would move. And Pokemon Mysterious Dungeon just is that. And it's a wonderfully retro game, and the people that it's aimed towards, the little kids, will not get that reference. So I don't understand why they did this, but it's basically, for me. Okay, I played Threes, and I hate that game because everybody I know is better at it than I am. I got a score of about 7,000 points. Threes is the game where you have to shuffle numbers and put 2 threes together to make sixes together to make 12s, and you have to clear the board and make as much points as you can. So yeah.
I was just going to say the Android version of that is 5, and that's my go-to toilet time. So
yeah, thanks
Okay,
for that image.
Harry.
Yeah.
Not everyone is better than you at Threes.
Well,
You said
Okay.
7,000?
I got 7,000 and I
Yeah.
tweeted it proudly. And
Yeah.
a friend of mine who's kind of like insane with that, he tweeted back, "Aw, that's so cute."
Yeah, that's pretty good, Harry.
I never got 7,000. It was the first time, and apparently, the magic happens at the 20,000 mark or something. I don't know. I just suck at Threes, and if you're worse than me, I believe you, but I don't think you can be that much worse because I was stuck at the 3,000s for a long time. Tell me you got 3,000. I played Arcade. Because I heard this rumor that Arcade finally upgraded and put some sensible features in there that are absolutely, completely necessary to play an MMO in the 21st century, which is the option to invert your Y-axis. If I can't invert my Y-axis, I can't play an MMO. So I was quite happy to really patch the game and get back into it, only to find out that the rumors were false.
The whole reason.
The only reason I loaded up, I went into the game. I spawned the character that I created, which was still level 1, and I went through all the options and all the menus and went completely insane looking for an option that wasn't there, and then I uninstalled the game because I can't freaking play a game if I can't invert my Y-axis. So suck on that. And I really wanted to play Guild Wars 2, but I just didn't have the time. I was actually longingly. I saw the news for the expansion, and I'm quite in. Did you, by the way? I heard you had some content coming out of. Can I talk about that?
Yes.
Is that all
PAX?
secret? PAX Australia.
Not PAX Australia. PAX South. That's not PAX Australia, just so you know.
PAX South is in San Antonio, Texas.
I thought we were going to Australia.
I'm sorry, Harry. We're not going to Australia.
Well, when I hear South, I think Australia. Okay.
Yes, you are technically correct.
The best type of correct.
But how did we get any answers to the burning questions about the expansion of Guild Wars 2?
What are your questions?
Well, the ones I mailed you.
Oh, yes, they're in the interview. You should watch the interview. It's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
It
okay.
is on YouTube.
Then we definitely, this is a plug. We should definitely put the link in the show notes.
That would be a great idea.
Okay.
Thanks, Layanor.
I'm on it.
So that's what I've been playing. Bill, what did you do?
Well, for me, World of Warcraft, which I'm playing as basically Barbie's dream house with excessive spikes. That's all it is. Pretty much, yeah. All my followers are better geared than I am by a lot.
You're so fantastic. Sorry.
So, yeah, I'm gonna actually sit down and play and do quests in World of Warcraft, but it's so easy to have other people take care of that for me.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm actually getting raid level purples, like eye level 655 gear from my minions running quests for me.
Yep.
So
it's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Why I'm questioning why I would try to find 9 other strangers to drag me through a raid dungeon. So we'll see. I'm gonna see if I can do the entire life of Warlords of Draenor without doing a single heroic or raid and still be better geared than Chris.
Awesome.
Oh man,
That's a good challenge. I really like that.
He's gonna win. You know that.
Well, of course he's going to win.
Doesn't even have to try.
No, I don't. I've got people to try for me. I played Guild Wars 2. So I got over the hump that Harry didn't, and it was so worth it. Guild Wars 2 is the best MMO out there. It's the fact that it wasn't our game of the year is a little bit of a crime against nature. I think 2015 is going to be the game. It's going to be getting back to its game of the year status. It's just so fun.
Yeah, but game of the year is for new releases, right?
No,
It did get Game of the Year.
Oh, there
in
you
the
go.
Year that it was the Game of the Year.
There you go.
I think it should be perennial. It just
Flower terms.
Yep. Anyway, it's lots of fun. I've played with my 80. I advanced my story quest. I also rolled up a newbie and just ran around the same starting areas that I've done probably half a dozen times before, and they're still fun. It feels fun. It's still engaging. It's not boring. I mean, to be fair, I did have a 3-4 month break, but it was just so easy to go back, and it's enjoyable. I love Guild Wars 2. Speaking of going back, played Lord of the Rings Online as well. I got my captain up to level 100, so I did that. Lord of the Rings Online is still fun. Like it's the best questing game out there. I enjoy doing quests in Lord of the Rings Online more than any other MMO, like even more than Guild Wars 2. There's a quest series in the name of the town is called I want to say I was pronouncing it Lame Dawn because that's what it looks like, but I'm sure it's Lamadon or something like that, and it's one of the precursors before getting to the main city in Gondor. And
Lamadama Ding Dong, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And you've got this unrequited love story that you're working your way through, and it's actually a little bit engaging. It's actually worth doing. And I was just really I really like that. So now I'm almost disappointed that I'm level 100 because I don't want to say questing is pointless, but it doesn't have the same pull when you don't have that impending ding coming.
Are you saying that questing is useless?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it doesn't have quite the draw that making your bar fill up adds to it.
I understand.
So, and last but definitely not least, I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous.
Good man.
And this is actually starting to become a bit of a problem. Like there's games out there that you start and you look up at the clock and you say, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I'll just play for 10 more minutes and then shut her down. And then it gets to 2 a.m. Well, Elite Dangerous it gets to 11 o'clock and I look at it and I say, you know what? I'm just going to be super tired tomorrow and I'll play till 2:30 anyway. And it just happens. And it's really causing me physical problems, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think I'm actually getting sick from it. But so just loving it so much. The one thing, though, I learned a lesson, and this is for anyone stepping into Elite Dangerous that's new. Abandoning missions is a bad idea. And the reason why is that if you just playing today, I was running around doing things, and I'd actually it was through a series of unfortunate events. A Federation cop basically interdicted me and caught me with a couple of tons of slaves in my ship, which is a bad thing. But I was really taking them to free them. So Anyway,
Totally not
morality
your
aside.
fault.
So I had that. At the same time, I ran out of time on another mission that I'd done, and immediately prior to all that, I'd been attacking a wanted criminal that another Federation cop was already fighting, and that starship or that Federation starship or fighter, whatever you want to call it, swooped right in front of me while I was unloading pulse lasers and multi-cannon fire, and it flew right in the stream of fire and gave me a fine because he was too dumb not to fly into bullets.
Totally not your fault, Bill.
Those three events actually knocked me, accumulated to knocking me into hostile faction with Federation. Now, this is a big deal when you're in dead center in the middle of Federation space, and at every single space station, almost anywhere, there's 7 or 8 of those red bastards just looking to shoot you to pieces. Every time you leave or enter a station, they want you. So,
okay, so
yeah,
can we have a
that's a
talk
problem.
for a minute here?
Oh,
Because
please.
I've been playing some Elite Dangerous as well, and I spent about an hour and a half the other night, and I still can't get any of the ships that I buy to fire their main guns.
What?
I still can't drive my damn thing.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Well, you're losing at games. That's what you're doing.
So much.
So
much.
now, are your weapons fixed or gimbaled or
I've tried
turreted?
both.
Well, if you just remember that if you got a turret, it auto fires.
Yeah.
So you need weapons that are manual fire.
Uh-huh.
So and then if you just
If you have gimbaled weapons, you have to make sure that whatever you're fighting is in the correct plane. So if your gimbaled weapons are mounted on the underside of your ship, you want to try to line up whatever you're attacking kind of below the middle plane of your screen or of your cockpit. If they're mounted above, which I don't know, I think I had an adder that had a top-mounted gimbaled weapon, and it was a little bit weird because at any given moment I'd either have my bottom-mounted weapons or my top-mounted weapons firing, but not both.
Okay, so I bought myself a Viper.
Okay.
And I put a couple of fixed heavy lasers on the front. And I go out and I try just shooting them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't fire. And I've got them on the right weapons groupings. I've got the right priorities set. I've got enough power there.
have you set them to a 1 or a 2 for the fire buttons?
Yes, I have them set for, well, not specifically, but I've got my main guns firing at this. And when I'm on my mining ship, if I use my mining lasers and I use my trigger when I have them selected, they fire. Anyways, this is a talk for another time, but I really feel stupid.
I really want to see this. I at some point I'm going to swing over there and I'm going to do a little bit of tech support.
You sound a bit like one of those guys who gets into the bumper carts and you're the only one who doesn't get its car to go.
A little bit.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you for making me feel more pathetic.
So, anyway, bringing it back, Elite Dangerous, addictive, awesome, enjoying it thoroughly. Chris, how about you? So when you're not playing a completely neutered Viper in Elite Dangerous, what are you doing?
I jump back into Wildstar and I'm leveling an engineer in there.
Was that free to play now?
Nope.
Is it going to?
Not that I know of.
Because I really want to play that game.
Okay. There's ways to do that.
I know, but I'm on principle, I'm against the subscription thing now.
You are? Oh, well.
Well, the problem...
I'd like to introduce everyone to, or welcome everyone to Harry's last show here on MMO Reporter.
I better shut up.
The thing is, whenever I buy time for an MMO like Wildstar or Final Fantasy XIV, the moment I pay the universe conspires to keep me away from the game, I then just don't have the time. And that's just not, I'm not doing it anymore. Screw you, universe.
Okay. So engineer's been fun. I've been enjoying it. I did, and just so that you know, this next one is free to play LOTRO. And Harry, it's free to play. And I jumped into this free to play game, which is free to play, and leveled my Bjorning a little bit, which, by the way, is in a free to play game, LOTRO.
I have a lifetime subscription, so I wouldn't call that a free to play game, Chris.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You have a subscription to something.
Yes.
The universe
So I
is
can't play
conspiring
it.
to keep you away from LOTRO. I understand.
Exactly.
I've
It all
been-
makes sense now.
I've also been jumping into WoW and trying to get myself geared enough to get into the looking for raid, and just haven't gotten there yet. Just time has been, again, conspiring against me, as Harry says. But I did have a couple of fun times running through some heroic dungeons. And I'm just, again, my thought from a few weeks ago about the difference in WoW pug groups now from a couple of expansions ago is just absolutely mind-blowing. I have had nothing but friendly people. There have been some people who have been really short and to the point and just do this, stand there, don't die. And there have been some people that have been really lengthy. There has been no one that has been an ass. Not a single one, as I've been the total noob running through everything. And that is just so awesome. I'm really enjoying it.
That's encouraging.
The toxicity of the WoW community has definitely dropped. And Destiny, I'm still leveling up. Like I said a while back, I jumped from Xbox 360 to PS4, so I'm leveling up in Destiny, going much faster than the last time. And it's funny because I'm getting to the spots that took me, maybe a few, because I don't play for that long on a shooter, but bits that would take me, a few nights of trying and dying and trying and dying are now just I breeze through it, and that's really fun. And I really do enjoy the game. It's got the gear grind of an MMO. It's got the progression. Very, 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 did I mention very linear? And I'm sorry, I disagree with all you haters out there. I love Dinklebot. He's pretty awesome.
No accounting for taste, I guess.
That's correct.
By the way,
that's why I don't count it against you that you don't like him.
And Peter Dinklage is an awesome actor, by the way. I'm catching up on the last Game of Thrones season. He is so nuanced, and he is so fantastic there. Why is he talking like a freaking drone in Destiny?
I think he gave it the performance that they wanted. Exactly the performance that they wanted. That they asked
well,
him.
then they are a bunch of asses who won't recognize good acting or good writing when it pooped in their face. It's just terrible.
He fits the role very well. Like the Dinklebot, your ghost is appropriate for the role that it needs to play in the game.
He sounds like Microsoft's speech simulator. He doesn't sound
I'm
like
Clippy.
a person. It's okay. I find it's.
You should be a guest on the show.
We should bring Clippy on. Yeah. All right, and
Peter Dinklage, I would love to have on the show because he is freaking awesome.
yes,
But not in Destiny.
and he's good in a few other movies as well. What's the one about the train station?
I thought you were going to say Transformers. I thought I missed something.
No, I don't remember.
You and your
Anyways,
Michael Bay love.
Train spotting?
No, not Train Spotting.
Yeah.
Throw mama
yeah,
from the train?
No. Just stop, Layanor.
Wait, I got it. Train Simulator.
No, that's your love of your
Under
life.
Siege 2.
I think we got news to get to.
Yes, we do. So let's just move things right along. All right, Layanor, you have got some news coming very sadly from the gaming community.
Yeah, we have some really big news coming out this week, but unfortunately, this is probably one that hits us closer to the heart, and this is really sad that Massively, that is connected to Joystiq, the big blog site, is closing down. And apparently AOL is closing all game-related blogs, which is Joystiq, Massively, and also WoW Insider that took a hit last year. I think they removed half of their staff or something like that last year. And it's closed. It's closed on February 3rd.
Yeah, that makes me really sad, and especially the way that it came about. There's a little bit more information in a post over on SIP's blog. Justin Olivetti, former host of Too Long Didn't Listen with Dodge, with Merrick. He's got a post on his own blog, biobreak.wordpress.com, and we'll have a link in the show notes talking about the fact that they knew this for a bit, but were told to not report on it or to report that they were looking into it. They knew about it on last Monday, so that would make it, January, what's that date? January 26th, and they weren't able to say anything until January 30th. So they knew all last week, and they just had to keep, we're looking into it, but they knew.
Yeah, there was some. Oh, go ahead.
They only figured it out because Joystiq's editor-in-chief did some digging and finally got an admission from AOL that they were going to shut them all down. The original plan from AOL was just to send out emails on the day of closure, which sucks.
That's cold-hearted.
That's horrible. Especially when it's one thing if it's, and they call it enthusiast blogging, but these are people that were paid. These were journalists. They were paid to cover video games and MMOs in particular. And some of them, probably this was their income, their main source of income. If they were a regular writer, it's not, probably part of what they did. But it's just ridiculous that any company would shutter a site with, number one, that short of notice, and number two, that cold-hearted of a method. Oh, by the way, here's your email. You're closed.
Did they call them enthusiast bloggers? I mean, then you would call ESPN enthusiast broadcasters. I mean, it's not like it's sports is more important or has a higher intrinsic value than games.
Yeah.
What surprises me in all this is, I mean, there's a lot of surprising things, like the douchebaggery of AOL from what we've been reading so far, at least on Massively and SIP's blog, but also the fact that, I mean, there's a few gold standards. Like, I mean, Massively, I think, is clearly the gold standard as far as MMO reporting out there and blogging. I mean, with present company accepted, of course. And WoW Insider is easily the top World of Warcraft blog out there. Joystiq, if it's not the top gaming blog out there, it's certainly in the discussion in terms of just the sheer number of people that hit it and everything like that. I'm really surprised that they couldn't have shopped this, or they couldn't have shopped Joystiq out, and that there wasn't some other content farm out there that wouldn't have wanted to bring that in. Apparently,
at least Massively was profitable. They didn't say anything about the other sites. I didn't look. They were profitable sites.
I would expect them to. Like, if I actually have all three of those, I would expect Massively to be the most likely to not be profitable. So if they are, I expect the other two as well. And it just seems petty to say, okay, end it.
Yeah.
So there's probably a more story to this. I hope somebody will dig into it a bit and kind of see what actually happened there. But
I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be closed. I think there's going to be a lot of sad people, and then unfortunately, as things tend to go, it's going to move on. Hopefully some of them start some crowdfunding and get another site going, which there's been some discussion of. And there's also some discussion of Massively Speaking also continuing on in some form.
Oh, well, yeah, Sips said in his blog there that Massively Speaking is going to carry on. So the podcast that they do will carry on, and yeah, I mean there's too many. I mean, like obviously SIP will carry on BioBreak, and I expect the rest of them will probably at least carry on their own blogs, but it only makes sense that they'd probably try to collaborate somewhere else as well.
Yeah. Good luck to all the writers. I mean, this is really, really sad.
It sucks. That's what it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when the show's over, I'm going to call up AOL. I'm going to cancel my dial-up.
Yep.
In essence, that's the thing, right? I mean, AOL is a huge company, and even if they made a profit, I cannot imagine them being a real big fish in the AOL pond. They were just something at the bottom, dangling somewhere at the bottom of a budget sheet, and there was probably some guy in a suit who thought, "Games? That's embarrassing," and just killed it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I not accidentally, I did go to the AOL, go to AOL.com just to kind of look and see what they're actually offering these days. And they're just, they're central everything. The AOL.com page is basically just a stupid BuzzFeed type of.
I was going to say, it looks like BuzzFeed.
So, I mean, if that's what they're choosing to continue to deliver as content, and they got rid of Joystiq and Massively and so forth, yeah, we're dealing with some pretty questionable situations and decisions here anyway. So,
yeah,
I am sad that the Joystiq people don't have jobs, but in part of it, I'm kind of happy that. Assuming they do land somewhere else good, I'm happy that they're out from under the yoke of obviously a pretty toxic work situation.
Yeah, it didn't sound like AOL was supporting them very much at all, in any way whatsoever. All right, so unfortunately, that's the biggest news of the week. Let's move on to something a little bit more game specific. Seems a little meta reporting on the industry itself. We're going to talk about Wildstar Drop 4 now, gentlemen. Before I hear the snoozes, there's actually a lot of stuff coming out in this particular expansion. For those of you watching, I have a combination of screenshots and trailers coming out. So really excited about this drop. I actually am excited. That's one of the things that's gotten me back into the game and leveling up my engineer is what's coming in this. So there's 3 new instances. It came from Fragment Zero, a new ship hand missions, and ship hands are now added to the LFG. So if you want to do solo pairs, obviously pairs for LFG, for ship hands, those are going to be in there. They've got a new starter dungeon, which I believe is level 6. Comes in there, 610, somewhere in there. It's a trainer dungeon, so every boss is going to teach you a new thing about telegraphs or interrupt armors or how all the mechanics work, because as players got in, and I remember doing this in Storm Talon's Lair when I was leveling up, players would get in there, and some even went all the way to 50 and never did a dungeon, and then they had to do their attunement. It was hell trying to teach them about all this stuff because they didn't do it. So this new Protogames Academy dungeon teaches you all of that stuff. There won't be a veteran version. This is just a simple one for beginners, but it's an interesting idea to have a dungeon that is specifically and explicitly designed just to teach you stuff. And last but not least, the ultimate Protogames dungeon. 3 bosses are going to be in this one that are the same every time, and then they're going to have another 3, so a total of 6 bosses, but the second 3 there are randomized event rooms. So one might be a sort of jumping puzzle sort of thing. Another one is an area where you're running around and you have to stomp jabbits. And you just stomp these jabbits and you have to stomp a whole bunch and you get a high score. And the higher score, the better you do. And in the end, the better you do on the entire dungeon, the better gear that you get in result. As far as difficulty goes with this dungeon, it's not going to be difficult to finish, but really difficult, probably the hardest to get gold at. Shorter than Skullcano, for those of you who remember that and played it, and it's got some of the best gear. So that's kind of exciting. I find it interesting that they're adding stuff, but they're not going to change the way that the attunement works. So you're not going to have this added to attunement. So that's kind of interesting. And then the first boss of that dungeon, I thought this was really interesting, called Slimy Feast, is based on a drawing that a young fan sent in, and they used that as concept art and created this this monstrosity. I think it's 5-legged monstrosity with like a fridge on its back.
That's cool.
That's cool.
It's really cool. I think that's really, really exciting. And the idea of another dungeon at max level is interesting to me, at least. I think it's interesting.
Well, the whole training dungeon idea. I mean, I know you're going to repel at the thought, but Final Fantasy XIV basically designs all its dungeons in order to teach you how to play at endgame. So every dungeon you get every 3-4 levels will add to the difficulty. So it's basically one big dungeon training system. So I would say it's about time that especially a game like Wildstar helps you to get ready for the harder stuff.
I don't think, and WoW does it, but not so explicitly. Guild Wars 2 kind of does it. I think that's...
No, Guild Wars 2 just drops you into some... Yeah.
Of Guild Wars 2. Well, there's some stuff as you begin going through the story stuff that's simpler than the paths. But yeah, the world itself kind of teaches you about all the different stuff, not so much the dungeons in that particular game. So yeah, those are the new ones, and they're all Protostar, which is the fictional company in Wildstar that does all the housing and stuff. That's all the clone of the same guy. I find they're the comedy relief. I find them hilarious. I find it's a really interesting theme for this particular drop. The other thing they're going to have is they're going to have like this, the one boss, the event room, is going to be like this football takeoff. It's not quite as awesome as Hutball, because I think Hutball, probably one of my favorite PvP things ever in SWTOR. But it is going to have this sort of football theme where you have to get the ball to the end zone, then the boss becomes available to damage and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting. And then in the most unsurprising event of this drop, the 40-man raid is going to 20-man. Who is shocked? I think this is right up there with shocking as ESO going buy to play.
Like Wildstar will go next month?
You think next month?
I think I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
That's
so
which
I'd love to hear your sources on this.
Common Sense.
I know him.
MMO reporter branded wild speculation.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for. And then barbershop and more housing options and stuff like that live on. By the time this goes live, this podcast, it'll be live.
Is there a barbershop quartet?
No.
Damn.
Although I still BioShock Infinite. Oh, that is my favorite part of that game.
If they're going to have a barbershop vendor in the major cities in Wildstar, they have to put 4 barbers in each shop. And then at like 10:13 p.m. every single day, they all harmonize together for like 10 seconds. Just as a daily event. It just happens, or even hourly.
Yeah.
I agree. That's okay.
I mean, for all the games that have done that, because I mean, World of Warcraft, they treated their like makeover thing as like a barber shop as well too, and it had the little candy stripe sign. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is an opportunity that lots of games have missed, and somebody needs to do it.
I love this arrangement of this song.
Oh, I was wondering why Chris was a little bit absent sounding, but he was doing his time soundboard thing again.
It's actually on time. You just can't hear it. That's on purpose, by the way. Oh, I
Anyway.
love that. Anyways, moving on. Yeah. I mean, Bill, you played some Wildstar. Layanor, you've played some Wildstar. Anything in here sound interesting to you? Before I give my opinions on sort of the whole thing, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I played Wildstar.
Yeah, but no. No. Just no, Harry.
Well, all right then.
More
Go ahead, Layanor.
instances. More instances. Yes, that's what it needs. It needs, but it kind of needs more world things too, like to fill out the world more. I mean, like one of the main things that I had a problem with was I just leveled through everything and did a little bit of PvP here and there, but I was just moving through these places fast, and I really didn't care about the areas at all.
I totally got a different experience, so I can't relate to that. That's really weird. I like the zones. I like the zone events. I like the.
I like them
area.
too. I love
Yeah.
the zones.
I know you said that when you first played it, and I don't know if it's because you were rushing through because you were kind of power leveling through to get to 50. But
That I was doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any like festival areas or side game type of areas.
Hold
where
on,
you could
hold on.
just-
You rush through the game to get level 50, and then you complain there wasn't that much to see. Then you are one of those guys. And you are part of the freaking problem.
Well, I had to get the end game.
Bill, you're up. What do you think?
I like the idea of a trainer dungeon, and I think that's something that actually fits nicely with the whole Protostar character type in game. I forget. Is the trainer dungeon like is that you still have to find your 4 or 5 buddies to run through with, and it's just a kind of a tutorial dungeon that kind of highlights what you're supposed to be doing?
They've got LFG too, though. It'll be an LFG.
See what this to me, that was like an opportunity missed, in that what they could have done there is give you the chance to go through this trainer dungeon that doesn't give you any rewards, but you play solo with NPCs.
Nobody would
So you
play
get-
it because it's no rewards.
Yeah, but they would do it to practice and learn a dungeon. I would.
Yeah, I can
And
see
then
that.
obviously you swap out for different roles. Like if you're gonna heal, then you enter the dungeon and you've got 3 DPS and a tank. And if you're gonna try to tank, you've got 3 DPS and a healer with you and everything. And just have it go through that. And I can see the tutorials popping up and the highlighted areas and the little pause that says "Don't stand here" and that kind of thing. I could see that being a legitimate thing for actual live dungeons. Again, no rewards, but just as a tutorial to help you learn the dungeon. It's
Yeah,
like
I
Tank
could see
Spot
that.
on steroids.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, Harry. I guess you did play Wildstar. What do you think?
Sorry, what? I'm waking up. What? Did I miss something?
Yeah, okay. So my thoughts, at least from this, is that the content is great. I think this is going to be fantastic for current players and for any new players that comes. But I don't see anything here. I'm looking at this, and I don't see any drastic or big game-wide changes. They've got some currency changes as well, but this is little tweaks. I don't see anything that's going to bring players back in droves. This is a content update, and it looks really well put together. It'll of course have all the bug fixes and stuff like that, but yeah, I think this is firmly set in the current player pile, and I don't think they're going to have much success in bringing back lapsed players. That being said, I mean, I jumped back in the game and I'm really enjoying it. And
But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with Wildstar. It is a very well-made game with interesting ideas, but it has one big problem. You need to pay to get in. And currently that is a problem, because even if it was the best pay-to-play MMO out there, which I'm sorry, it isn't, then there are so many alternatives that are either free or buy-to-play that are as good or almost as good, that the difference in quality between what you get for free and what you get for by committing yourself isn't worth committing yourself. And that is a problem. That's the only problem Wildstar has.
Would you pay to play Guild Wars 2?
I wouldn't pay a subscription for it, no.
Oh, wow.
And I love the game, and I like paying my microtransactions for it. But I would not pay $10 or $15 per month for it. No.
Well, there you go. I don't know. I'm waffling in the I don't mind a subscription camp. I do, and I see that. I'm waiting to see how it affects ESO. I've seen a negative hit to community in every game that I've played that's gone free to play or buy to play. I think the one exception might be Secret World, and I think Layanor, you've really enjoyed the community there, but
I'm not saying that it's all roses and sunshine if you go free to play. Definitely not. But
yeah.
Sorry, but if I have the option now, I can jump into, at this point of the games that I've installed on my PC, I have 5 games here that I can get into and play without getting my credit card out. And that just, the barrier to go past those 5, get money, and then go into Wildstar, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think the core audience that this game is made for has that situation.
You know, that must be why our Game of the Year, Final Fantasy XIV, doesn't have a subscription. Oh, wait! Hold on! Moving on.
I have the same problem with Final Fantasy XIV, even though I love that game to death.
How dare you be consistent in your opinions, Harry? That is not what we expect here on MMO Reporter. Wild speculation and baseless flip-flopping is what we need and desire.
Not to mention self-contradiction. Critical.
You may not be the podcaster we want, Harry, but you're the podcaster we need.
And the one we deserve.
That last bit, I think, is most true. I think we should move on.
All right, I'm gonna jump in here, talk real quick about our sponsors, GoDaddy. Gotta love GoDaddy. They have a fantastic deal for all you wonderful listeners out there. MMO149 will get you a $1.49.com domain. That's right, $1.49 for your very own .com domain. And if you use the coupon code MMO30, 30% off your entire order. Want to get some hosting along with that domain? Boom, you're set. 30% off. Woo. And, of course, Audible. audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. You can get a free month. What does a free month get, you ask? Well, let me tell you, Chris. It gets you 1 free audiobook that you can keep forever. See, that's the thing about Audible. You get 1 credit per month. And then, every time you use that credit, that book is yours, whether you have a continuing subscription with them or not. So you can continue to listen to those books over and over and over again if you so desire. Just one quick tip, though, that we've had from a couple of listeners. Make sure before you cancel that you use up all of your credits, because the minute you cancel, all your credits are gone. So use them up before you cancel. And last but not least, Doghouse Systems. We love Doghouse Systems. You should see some of their custom systems. You can get some art on the side of your system. They've got some great stuff for WoW. You could even request the MMO Reporter logo on there. That would be pretty cool. So go check them out. Go to doghousesystems.com and use the coupon code MMO Reporter, and you will get double your RAM. That's right. RAM Go. Yeah? No. What did they call it on Guild Wars 2? I forget. BOGO RAM. Buy one, get one RAM. Woo! All right. Let's move on to the next chunk of story. Harry, you're up.
Yeah, I know. Sony Online Entertainment is no longer Sony Online Entertainment. The game has gone, according to some sources, independent, but basically it's been bought up by a big investment firm and now changed its name to Daybreak Game Company. all sources and all news releases state that the company will continue as is. No job cuts have been announced. No game cuts have been announced. All the currently running and in development titles, including the new EverQuest titles and the I keep saying Planetfall. PlanetSide game.
NH1Z1.
Yeah, all of those up and running, still going. Smedley at the helm, so nothing changes there, folks. And they are now free to pursue games in other platforms than the Sony and PC platform. And John Smedley actually tweeted that they are looking forward to making Xbox One games, which is good news for anybody out there who has an Xbox One and wanted to play games like DCU and PlanetSide, which are definite.
Sorry, I thought you were done. There's a bit of a, if you read into it a little bit, they're going to focus on consoles and mobile games rather than PCs as part of their big push. PCs will sort of be relegated to third tier.
Well, we'll have to see how that turns out because I think the main thing is, and I think that's why they stress that, but that's speculation on my part, because under the SOE brand, they just couldn't do anything but do PC and Sony. And for an MMO to run just on the PlayStation 3 or whatever is not profitable. So I think now they can just spread out and have more chances of catching some microtransactions. The reason why this happens is probably because Sony, the big mother company, Sony, is dealing with a $2 billion loss, and they are now selling stuff to dampen that, to lessen the loss, and that's just purely a stockholder thing. It doesn't mean that SOE was in trouble or had any problems. I find it interesting that they got cut loose like that and got to take all of their franchises with them, which are the most valuable things that they own. So it seems to be that this doesn't mean that SOE was in trouble in itself, but that Sony just wanted to cut their losses, basically.
Yeah, you don't see very many of these corporate takeovers, sales, anything like this, especially to an investment house that doesn't end up with some sort of trimming of quote unquote fat at some point.
Well, and that's what Columbus Nova is basically they're an investment company that's their mission statement or whatever you will is that they take a value-oriented long-term view on investing. So does that mean that Columbus Nova sees long-term profitability for, I guess, Daybreak now? I guess we can't call them SOE or anything like that. So, and if so, where is that? Is that the assumption that they could basically take the limited platforms that they've had so far, which is PC and PS4, and basically spread that out to other platforms and then therefore increase sales? Like I'm wondering if their focus is just going to be on expanding what they've already made into broader platforms, or if they actually have new games that will come out, Xbox, mobile, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I definitely think that now the stakes have gotten a little higher for the new EverQuest titles, because now I'm a layman when it comes to finances, but I would think that the promise of a new EverQuest title and Landmark, but EverQuest more than anything, is one that will persuade an investor to buy into them. And I think if EverQuest doesn't make good on that promise of actually being a game that sells and be profitable, I think we will see some trimming of the fat. And that's the one thing that I'm worried about, because a company like Columbus Nova is interested in only one thing, and that's profit. While they were part of Sony at least understood, I think, that it's valuable to have franchises and to have creative people doing their thing and allowing them to do their thing. I'm not so sure that a company like Columbus Nova has that same vision.
Agreed. Bill, I think that's a good note to speaking about vision and maybe talk a little bit about Crowfall.
So a little bit of looking forward for the first time in this podcast. Crowfall is a new game coming out in the quote unquote the future, being developed by the kind of the same creative team from Wolfpack that built Shadowbane way back in the day. For those of you that don't remember Shadowbane was kind of in that same generation as like Asheron's Call and Dark Age of Camelot, and it was a bit of a sandbox 100% PvP MMO, and it had a very small but rabid loyal following for a long time. It was an interesting game, one that I never got into, but anyway. The news that we're talking about here is basically they're releasing their first kind of game system reveal for this new game that they're building now. And they talk about actually trying to fix a lot of the problems that they had with Shadowbane. And one of the problems that they had was that because it's a sandbox game and because it's an all PvP game and because it was a persistent universe, what they found was that there was an early rush to the game where the quote unquote elite players very quickly built up an established base of power, and it was untippable balance the rest of the way. Those players basically owned the game the rest of the way, and it was really hard for anyone else to step in. So enter Crowfall. The answer to that is a system that they're calling the Hunger. And the way it works is you're still going to have they're still building the game in that kind of that same vein of sandboxy high PvP type game, but the mechanism of the Hunger is essentially I'll just lay out the scenario. Basically, each scenario or each period that you play in is a time period that they've said could be a week, it could be a month, it could be longer. They're still feeling out how that's going to look. But your persistent characters that you level up and stay the same throughout the game get dropped into what's almost a temporary world, and that is kind of in it starts at the very beginning phase that they call spring, where the world is kind of alive and happy and everything like that. But slowly over time, the hunger kicks in, which is corrupting the world and consuming the creatures and the landscape and everything, to the point where it eventually just kind of consumes itself and the world dies, basically a complete reset. And the purpose is the players are swooping in from their celestial castle or whatever to garner as much resources as they can from the world and kind of carve out the most that they can from this world before it ultimately consumes itself. So it's a very interesting system that really kind of caught my eye, because again, the whole persistent world PvP kind of thing was a really neat idea for Shadowbane, but obviously that problem of the game basically being over right at the beginning as the power base was set is a huge problem and a huge barrier to entry. So although it was in a completely different situation and a completely different scenario, a similar idea at least was used at the end of the Asheron's Call beta, which I know now listeners are rolling their eyes because I bring this up all the time, is the best end of beta event ever. But basically the world went to crap. In Asheron's Call, there was an asteroid coming closer to the world. All the monsters were getting stronger. There was more of them. People were banding together. And this sounds, in a way, like it's going to be the same idea. This unstoppable force will start to spread across the world, and all players can do is survive. And the play that will happen, PvE and PvP, and players getting, banding together like that, it's going to have an element of survival type of game to it, which it just sounds absolutely fascinating to me if it works. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's and that's exactly the idea, is that the world basically becomes more and more harsh as it progresses through these seasons, spring, summer, fall, and then the final death of the world. And yeah, so the creatures become more powerful, the land becomes more unsafe. So it's actually necessary, or they're implying anyway, that it's necessary for players to have kind of banded together and build up safe houses and holds and systems for extracting resources and everything like that right to the very end, where there's the option players might be cooperative. They might actually be completely competing for the same resources because they don't want to cede the control to whatever group. Anyway, I could see a whole bunch of scenarios playing out here, and it seems like a really cool idea.
Harry, what do you think?
I have no frame of reference here, but the things you're telling me sound fantastic. It sounds like a very interesting old school meets new idea. I'm definitely interested more in it. I never heard of this before, so I'm now definitely interested.
What do you think, Layanor?
I'm pretty interested. I love griffins. Griffins are my favorite animal, even though they're not real. I know that.
Are you
and they have
sure
this one picture.
You know that, though?
Anyway. They have this one picture that pretty much sums up everything that Bill was talking about. They have this picture of a griffin, and they show 3 more stills of it being of it over time, where the wings are starting to kind of fall out, and the muscles are starting to kind of cave in a little bit, but it's starting to crystallize in areas where some of the wings are turning into blades, and the beak is starting to turn into a big sharp claw-like beak. And by the end of it, I mean, this thing is pretty much just this awesome crystal meaty monster thing. And for a system to do that is just absolutely awesome, I think.
Yeah, that's it seems very, very exciting. Looking forward to it. And this idea of campaigns with persistent characters in a more persistent world than, say, just matches that you'd have in other worlds, seems like taking, parts of PlanetSide 2, parts of this, parts of that, and putting it all together in this wonderful MMO gumbo. That would be a podcast. MMO gumbo.
It's like CSI New Orleans or something like that.
All right, Harry, let's end things off on a downer.
And that brings you automatically to me.
Yep. When I think downers, I think you, Harry.
Elite Dangerous developer Frontier has confirmed that it will cut 15 content creation jobs. And that will bring the studio headcount down from 281 to 266. This is something that happens a lot, actually, after big games get launched. And we've seen this happen at basically every MMO we've covered, that after the big launch, people get fired, which is obviously sad for those people, but it's the way of the industry. This doesn't mean that Elite Dangerous is in trouble. It doesn't mean that the new game they announced, Coaster Park Tycoon, is in trouble. Coaster Park Tycoon is kind of a spiritual successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay.
And
hold on. Wait a minute. The same studio makes Elite Dangerous and Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah, and I can tell you, well, Coaster Park Tycoon, this game is called.
Yeah,
They also made a game called Zoo Tycoon or some such. And
Elite Dangerous.
Well, the thing is, Frontier has to pay the bills, make money, and they make kind of workaday simulations that aren't that good.
They like to eat, I understand.
I played the Zoo Tycoon game on the Xbox One, and it was it's a competent looking kid-friendly game that teaches you how to not interact with animals.
That is an endorsement if I ever heard one. It is a competent game.
Well, it's competent, but it's wrong as well. I mean, one of the things that I noticed in Zoo Tycoon is you have to build a zoo and you have to build habitats for the animals. All fine. And you can walk around, and I think kids will love that. And it uses the Kinect camera. and you can actually play with the animals, which is in itself a weird turn of events. And then you get to the point that you have apes like gorillas and chimpanzees, and you can play with them by staring into their eyes via the Kinect camera and making them mimic you. If there is one thing you should never do with apes is look into their eyes, because they will kill you. And this is not something you should teach little kids, that it is cool to look into the eyes and make faces at apes. And I found it a very interesting choice for a game aimed at children to show animals in behaviors that are absolutely unrealistic, while the entire game looks like it's trying to be a simulator of actual animals. So I found it a very, very weird game.
All
But
right.
very, very tangenty. But to come back to the actual story, Elite Dangerous still in development. They're still working on all the expansions. There's no reason to get worried about getting into the planetary landing stuff. It's all coming soon, trademark.
See, I was just sad because I wasn't aware that there was a Canadian branch of Frontier. And now that it's there, I'm excited. And now that it's gone, I'm sad.
Well, yeah, I wish they took the Tycoon games with them. But again, as I said, they got to eat.
Yep.
They
Except for the
gots to
people
eat.
in Canada, they don't need to eat.
No. Well, I mean, we just eat seals and
Snow.
snow and
Snow is high protein.
yep. All right. We
Yeah,
are
I do not
very,
want to know what kind of snow you have in Canada.
very long. I'm ignoring everybody. We are very long today.
Sure it's
so,
not yellow?
Bill, let's
Quite.
get on to the
Every
contact
kid knows don't
information.
eat yellow snow. If you want to
Contact
get a hold
info.
of the MMO Reporter crew and talk to us about what the correct snow to eat is, you can send us an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/MMO Reporter. You can tweet at any of the MMO reporters, either at MMO_reporter for Chris, at Harry Hall for Harry Hall, at Layanor for Layanor, and at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778. Visit us on YouTube, youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network, or head over to MMOreporter.com as the central hub for everything MMO Reporter, including all our brother and sister podcasts out there as well. And if you're feeling supportive, head over to MMOreporter.com/support for a bunch of different ways that you can express your love or even hate for MMO Reporter. If you really hate us, donate $5 because we despise that.
Hate it. It's horrible.
Money. Ugh.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for I'm moving things along. It's a long show. Move it along, guys. Come on.
Can you answer me one thing?
Don't make me turn this podcast around.
Is there such a thing as high fiber snow?
Yes.
High fiber. Low carb, high fiber.
Yes.
Bill, thanks for the show. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Harry, there is such a thing.
Thank you, Layanor. Trying to do my thank yous here, guys. Trying to do my thank yous. Layanor, thank you. And I hope that your quest for fancy pants is fulfilled.
You. I'm gone. I'm gone. That's it.
Finally. Yeah. Oh, wait, you're there. And Harry, of course, incredibly and increasingly tolerable to have you on the show.
Your thank yous sound more insincere every week.
Maybe
the
if you
fact
let...
the fact that you're telling us to shut up and let us thank us is kind of like it lacks heart. Let's put it this way.
Shut up and let me show you how nice I am. Right?
I don't think I want to see how nice you are because that sounded dirty. Okay, thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure.
Hey, we have shared a hotel room. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for downloading the podcast week after week. We really appreciate it. We hope that you download the podcast again next week. But most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.